But anyway, I am going to be writing about how I write. And stuck at what I should use as a title for this. Maybe something kind of clickbait. Something that would be like catnip for that orange website. What should I say? Uber Eats and AirPods for pre-roll today. What's in your wallet? Oh dear. Yeah. Um, I apparently got opted into ads showing up a bit more often uh, by our Amazon overlords, so yeah. Apparently I'm popular enough that Amazon wants more ads, which is kind of a terrifying thing to think about. So, title. Think of all the chump change you earn. Yeah, I get like, a quarter of a penny. Yeah, it's awesome as all hell. I'm heading out, but wanted to drop by and thanks. Computers make me mad for a gift sub that expired in the meantime. Yeah, that gift sub bomb was amazing. Sorry I had a trip and got sick and couldn't stream. Your stream notification pulled me from the comforting cradle of Emacs in a TTY because I forgot that MPV can open Twitch streams directly for a moment. Hello there. Welcome to Emacs in a TTY. Okay, title. You know what? Let's just skip out on the title for now. 0625. Tags. Writing. I can type good, I swear. Okay, so this is going to be an incredibly meta post. Um, so when I start writing, what I usually do is I start out by making a bullet list. Normally I prepare this outline before the stream, but since I'm writing about my writing process, I thought it would be better for me to prepare the outline in the stream so that you can see it in action. Okay. So, something else that I usually do is I'll have like a goal for each post. Usually I don't write this down, but in this case, the goal of this post is to, a friend is asking for your pronouns, send help. I have a page on GitHub for that. Here. Give them that. Okay. Oh, wait, is it not actually... Oh, it's the motion... Oh, hands down mode. Oh, right, okay. Disable hands down mode, that'll do it. Is to explain how I structure and write about things. Technical or not. But yeah, I usually start out with like a simple sentence that describes the goal of the post. And that sentence is what I will turn into the bullet tree. But let's start. Well, let's put the single sentence goal here, and then so another unspoken part about the goal is that you also have to think about where the reader is coming from. So in this case, reader is assumed to have some context about writing things, but is uncertain? Is that how you spell it? I mean, Emacs isn't complaining, so I think that's how you spell it. About how to structure something coherent. Single sentence goal. What you want readers to gain from it, and you assume the reader is coming from. A lot of this style of writing was actually, of all things, inspired by the game designer Yoko Taro, where he will start stories with the climax and then work backwards to figure out what could lead up to it. So if you start with the goal in mind, then you can start working backwards to figure out where you need to come from in order to reach that goal. I call this type of thing that I'm doing here a bullet tree. Let's define it. Most of the time, the bullet tree gets, like, I will just hit enter, put some space between parts of the bullet tree, and then type out things like, hello, or, starting things is horrible. As someone that does a lot of writing, I have been asked how to write about things. I have been asked about it enough that I am documenting this here so you can all understand my process. Another thing that I will start doing... Oh, God, did it just... Oh, fucking hell. How do I disable the ads? Oh, this is a catastrophe. Adobe Creative Cloud. Okay, I think I disabled it. Did that disable it? Okay. I think it got cut off by the ad, but another thing that I will do in my process in particular is sometimes I will add these little conversation snippets that they mainly help break up walls of text, and they allow me to get a bit more prosy into there, which can make things fun. It helps liven things up and keep things interesting. Your snippets are amazingly cool, especially because you have the images to go with it. Yeah, that's part of what I was imagining with the whole goal here. The fact that I have the little snippets there. I Okay, so I actually started the conversation snippets thing because somebody got really mad at Soatok having furry art in their posts, and homophobes got really angry at it, so I decided to commission some furry art, and that's how that started. It, so it does sound like more than one person's talking to us as we read. Yes, that's called the Socratic method, and that's all thanks to the philosophical teachings of I think in the original tongue it's pronounced Socrates. Yeah, Socrates was definitely a huge inspiration for that. Oh, I can't type the TM thing with my Moonlander. TM emoji. Thank you, Emojipedia. You saved my butt again. It seems to work well enough. Especially so if you're reading this. Furries are some of the most intelligent people I know. I don't get why people are mad at furries. That's complicated, and I don't know if that's entirely something that will get Twitch angry at me or not type of topic, but basically people that are anti-furry are more than likely to be anti-LGBT, and so like furry hate ends up being homophobic. Introduction. And the introduction usually is just like, a couple sentences to start things out. Don't overthink about it. It's easy to overthink the introduction. And if you start overthinking it, it's going to be really hard to write things. But just underthink it. Trust me, it gets easier. Introduction. Okay, the intermediate steps, create a bullet tree, Find bullet tree. Include critical parts. Yeah, the thing is you're using logic. Major steps or cons. So the critical parts of an article, in my view, are like the introduction, the conclusion, and in the middle you have the major steps or concepts for like building up from where you're assuming people are starting from to where you want them to get to. So it's a lot like building a staircase out of paragraphs. And then I'll have a section there for actually writing the post, you know. Uh, Actually writing the post can sometimes be like the most annoying part. Um, but usually the idea here is that your bullet tree is going to be your outline, and you expand your outline into a full post. Because writing an outline is a lot easier, and writing an outline is a lot easier when you're starting just from the goal. And each of these bullets in the bullet tree can be individual paragraphs, sections, or even just sentences. The idea is that you're doing most of the work creating the outline. Like, the outline phase is also when you're going to be, like, friggin' researching, you're going to be adding links for things, all that sort of stuff. Writing the post, conclusion, and then I'll have a call to action. A call to action, by the way, is like an SEO marketing term for suggestion that the reader should do after reading the post. Like, for example, trying out a feature in a product, or visiting a space station in No Man's Sky, or I don't know, buying a video game, or even tweeting. The main idea is that the call to action should give people like the next steps. So let's start by talking about the single sentence goal. Start out each post, or just start out the process of writing coherently at scale. Okay, that's basically clickbait. I love it. About something. I usually like to start with the end goal in mind. If I am writing about an event or technology thing, I'll start out with a goal that looks something like this. Okay, so technology thing. You know what? Let's just shill Tailscale SSH. Let's just do it. So disclaimer, Tailscale employs me. Tailscale SSH lets you connect to and control your systems without having to set up SSH keys or worry about key pairs being leaked on accident. Here is the goal that I used to start out this post. It doesn't have to be very complicated or intricate. Most of the complexity comes up naturally during the process of writing the inter steps. Think about the end goal. So that readers can be empowered to write about their own things in better ways. Think about the end goal or what you want people to gain from reading the article. I've also found it helps to think about the target audience and assumed skills of the reader. So this is basically the part where you're like, you have to know your audience in order to write something to them. So in this case, the audience is basically people that are trying to figure out how to write about things better. Or people that may not be as experienced with writing, or just basically need the push to help them write about something that they wanted to write about. Think about the target audience and assumed skills of the reader. I'll usually... You know what, let's change this to, like, explaining what split DNS is. Uh, and then this is based on something that I wrote internally at work. Explain a split DNS setup and its advantages and weaknesses so that people can make more informed decisions about their technical setups. I'll usually list out the kind of person that would benefit from this the most, and then thanks for the follow, Fauna of Flora. Something about them that this post can will benefit from this the most, and how it will help them. Here's a few examples. The reader is assumed to have some context about what DNS is and wants to help make their production environment more secure, but isn't totally clear on how it helps and what trade-offs are made. State what the reader is to you and how the post benefits them. Underthink it. It's tempting to overthink this, but really don't. You can overthink the explanations later. I usually delete the outline as I go, but let's make this a header here. Let's call that the planning phase. And I'll put the I'll maintain the outline and I'll put it at like the end or something. Okay, let's make a new like H3 and call it the outline. So once you have an end goal in mind and the end goal and the target audience in mind, then I make an outline of what I want the supposed to contain. This outline will have a bunch of hierarchical? Is that how you spell it? Hierarchical. Okay, yeah, I think that's how you spell it. It's a hierarchical... Your spelling looks right. Okay, cool. Yeah. Outline will have a bunch of hierarchical... We'll have top-level items for generic parts of the article or major concepts, steps. And then I will go in and add more detail inside each top-level item. Here is an example set of top-level items for that split DNS post. Okay, so introduction. What is DNS? Introduction. How split DNS is different. Advantages of split DNS. Trade-offs? Is that the right phrase? Just pull that article up and take a look at it so I can rederive my find split DNS, trade-offs of split DNS. Conclusion. Okay. Then I will go in and start filling in the bullet tree with links and references to with links and references, each major concept or other opinions that people have had about the topic. Right at the top level outline, I start drilling down into more detail. Okay, so what's a good way to phrase this? So, like, as the bullet points get indented, that means I'm going into more detail about a topic, but as I go down, that means I'm adding more, like, related concepts or breadth to the topic. You know, let's just show an example. Let's copy this markdown block and I'm just gonna have these two things here. Maps names to IP addresses. Sometimes it does other things, but not worrying about that today. Distributed system. Distributed system. Questions and answers about the internet. Is that's almost too vague to the point of being like a disservice. It tended to have the same answers, same data everywhere in the world. It can take time for records to be usable from everywhere. Each of these sub-points will be fleshed out into let's delete that. Let's copy this again. Then DNS RFC. Search that in Google real quick. DNS propagation is not. Oh, where's that one article about was it Julia Evans that wrote? Yes, okay. DNS does not propagate. Okay. Yes. Oh. Please help me write about the topic and give me links to add to the post so that people can understand more if they want to. Each step should build on the last and help you reach towards the end goal. Let's delete the suffer this post and let's just have it be the split DNS post, because that could be interesting to just write about like that. After each top level item is fleshed out enough, I usually pick somewhere to start and add some space after a top level item. Then I just start writing. Each top level item usually maps to either a paragraph or maps to a few paragraphs. Slash a section of the post. You should... Did I say you should spend most of your time on the outline? I did not, okay. And most of your time writing the outline. The rest is really just restating the outline in sentences. Each top-level item usually maps to a few paragraphs / a section of the post. I usually like to have each section have its own little goal / context to it, so that you start out from not understanding, or so that readers something and end up understanding it better. Here's an example. Let's just grab this again. Oh, okay, so what am I gonna fit here? Like... So... if you have used a computer in the last decade or so, in the last few decades or so, you have probably used DNS. DNS is one of the bedrock protocols of the internet. And actually predates the modern internet. As a side effect, the domain name service. Oh, I'm typing at 75 words per minute apparently. I keep forgetting that keybind exists. DNS maps human readable names, like google.com, to machine readable IP addresses. Like 182.48.247.12. What are the bedrock protocols of the modern internet? And it usually is the cause of most failures in big companies. DNS is a globally distributed system without any authentication or way to ensure that only authorized can query IP address for specific domain names. Okay. This means that as a consequence of this means that anyone can get the IP address of a given server if they have the DNS name for it. This also means that updating a DNS record can take a non-trivial amount of time to be visible from everywhere in the world. It also means that updating a DNS record can take a non-trivial amount of time visible from everywhere in the world. Instead of using public DNS records for internal services, you can set up a split DNS configuration so that you run an internal DNS server that has your private services obscured away from the public internet. This means that attackers can't get their hands on the IP addresses of your services so that they are harder to attack. In this article, I'm going to spell out the advantages, spell out how this works, the advantages of this. One second. Oh, I thought I muted. Crap. Sorry. The COVID cough is so real. Thank you for the follow, TS Sir. It helps the channel a lot. Wow, 533 followers. Thank you for all the educational content. Yeah, thank you for watching it, and reading and stuff. It's really great knowing that there are people out there that care. Um, Writing this article is hard because I'm basically writing like parts of two articles at once. Okay. In the process of writing, I will find gaps in the outline and just fix it by writing more words than the outline suggested. This is okay and somewhat normal. Go with the flow. I expand each major thing into its component. I expand each major thing into its components. And will break into its component paragraphs, and will break things up into sections with markdown headers if there is a huge change in topics. Adding section breaks can also help people stay engaged with the post because people tune out of giant walls of text that all look. Giant walls of text. Another trick I use is what I call conversation snippets. Another trick I use to help avoid my posts being giant walls of text is what I call conversation snippets. Are the little... These look like this. These are words, and I am saying them. You just pull up StreamFox in another window. Resize it the same as my Windows Terminal window. I don't want Firefox to be my main browser. The Magic DNS name isn't working. That's not common. Network devices, tag devices, logos. Let's just use the IP directly. Oh, the reason why the development version of the site wasn't loading is because my server crashed. Let's just let that start. Okay. I use them for both creating Socratic dialogue. Let's get Wikiped. Wow, I probably just referenced an internet meme that, like, either made you have, like, you know, mimetic Vietnam flashbacks, or you just didn't get it at all. And to add prose flair to my writing, I am more of a prose writer by nature. Let me just add a link to one of the prose things. I'm going to add a link to the article that the story I call The Oasis, which is about a traveler getting caught in a sandstorm and stumbling across an oasis where somebody helps them heal. I find that this mix allows me to keep both technical and artistic writing up to snuff. The blog conf, name equals Katie, mood equals coffee. Did I do coffee earlier? Yeah. Let's get Envy. Each of these things are like Telegram stickers that I originally commissioned from Furry Artists. I have some stickers of the like the shark with the split keyboard made, and I've been thinking about sending some out, but I need to get a PO box to use this return address, just to keep myself a little bit anonymous. Amusingly, I get asked if the characters in my blog are SEP people, all giving their input into things. They are characters, nothing more. If you ever got an impression otherwise, then I have done my job as a writer incredibly well. Writing the conclusion. Just flesh things out and progressively delete parts of the outline as you go. It gets easier. So now, I gotta admit, I really suck at writing conclusions. They are annoying for me to write because I usually don't know what to put there. I will start out with something like this. Oh, I need to add a hero image. You know what? We're going to use the forbidden shape for this one. Sometimes I won't even write a conclusion at all and just end the article there. Octagon time. Okay, octagons are an amazing shape with 8 fantastic sides and 8 awesome angles. I mean, you know, like, octagons are not forbidden shapes. Actually, you know what? Let's go with the Great Wave. That's gonna be cool. A lot of the time when I am describing how to do things, I will end the article with a call to action. This is a few sentences that encourages the reader to try the thing that I've been writing out for themselves. If I was turning that split DNS article from earlier, EARLIER, into a full article, could look thing like this. If you want an easy way to try out a split DNS configuration. Install Tailscale. On a couple virtual machines and enable Magic DNS. This will set up a split DNS configuration with a domain that won't resolve globally. Such as hostname.example.com.beta.tailscale.net, or just hostname for short. I use this in my own infrastructure constantly. It has gotten to the point where I regularly forget that Tailscale is involved at all. Regularly get that Tailscale is involved at all and become surprised when I can't just access machines by name. But the DNS setup isn't a security feature. If anything, it's more of an obscurity feature. But when used, Magic, it recently set up Tailscale and managed to couple it with a separate VPN service because our country is trigger happy when it comes to blocking websites. Magic DNS is absolutely amazing, and so is Tailscale itself. Yeah. Oh god. Like... I don't even have to remember what the IP address for that VM is. Oh, right, I don't have, rules for that. Let me just make a new terminal and I'll show you something extra cool. Shark Harmonic, lol, nice domain. Yeah. So the cool part about what I just did here is that I connected to an Alpine system that I had never connected to before. My SSH key is not on here, but thanks to Tailscale's new SSH support, it just works. And, oh god, I have been waiting to be able to talk about Tailscale's SSH stuff for so long. Shark Harmonic, nice domain. Yeah, I love it. And you can also force people to have to authenticate with your auth provider. Yeah, it's its own like SSH server that's in process. So if I do you know what, let me just show it off with HTOP because HTOP is surprisingly a good test case for this. So I'm going to turn on tree view, and I'm going to turn on tree view is always sorted by PID. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go back, and now you're going to see that yes, my Emacs setup is Emacs setup has a few sub processes. Oh, I should not show userland process threads. That would be a good thing. Yeah, and you see there's my Emacs client connecting to the Emacs server. Where is Tailscale? Ah, here's Tailscale. Okay, so I keep show userland process thread disabled for my own sanity too. Yeah, it's especially bad when you have like Rust and Go because turns out they spawn a bunch of threads. But yeah, so you know I have Tailscale D, and then it spawns a copy of login, and you know it just goes on from there. It's neat stuff. I really like it. And you can also enforce ACL restrictions so that, like, you know, I can't have one of my home lab machines SSH into the Alpine VM. So it does use login, at least part of the normal Unix auth pipeline should work. Yeah, I think it does go through PAM, at least enough to get the MOTD printed. But you can use it to help secure your systems by making it hard. Help administrate your systems by making... Yeah, I have a post about Magic DNS at the work at in the blog pipeline for Tailscale. Hopefully that should be out by like this week or the end of next week. It's been kind of difficult for reasons that are like nobody's at fault. It's just weird. I'm making your life easier. You can update records on your own schedule, and you don't have to worry about outside attackers getting the IP addresses of your services.
I'm just happier. I've never felt that before.
Okay. I'm gonna skip that article. Or that song. Okay, go back to this. Oh, OBS is still showing Emacs. Good. I thought I accidentally focused something else. I've done that before, on accident. Okay, let's see if that combination of like a block quote and a horizontal rule works, because I'm not sure if it does. Stream Fox. No, it does not. Okay, good to know. Oh, it does work. Okay. I don't like giving the conclusion a heading, so I'll usually use a horizontal rule. There, and I'll just link to some random thing about that explains what a horizontal rule is. This is how I write about things. Do you have a topic in mind you have wanted to write about for a while? Try this system out. I'm gonna just delete this outline down here. Email me at iwroteanarticle@zserve.us and I'll be sure to read it and give you feedback. And want feedback on how to make it shine. You might want to focus Emacs. Yep, I knew I was gonna do it. Oh my god. Either? Yeah. How to make it even better. There. So now I'm gonna do the read over. So the title is Writing Coherently at Scale. As someone that does a lot of writing, I have been asked about how to write, as someone that does a lot of writing, I have been asked about how to write about things. I have been asked about it enough that I am documenting this here so you all can understand my process. This is not a prescriptive system that you must do in order to make quality content, trademark. This is what I do. I honestly have no idea if this is a correct way of doing things, but it seems to work well enough, especially so if you're reading this. And then we have this image generated by Midjourney where, we have the Great Wave off of Kanagawa with cyberpunk aesthetics and what looks like a Hanzi inscription on one of the waves. S/that does/who does in the first content. Okay. Someone who does a lot of writing. Yeah, that does sound a bit more natural. Thank you. I made an edit over in Emacs, and it'll be reflected once I finish the read. To start out the process of writing about something, I usually like to start with the end goal in mind. If I'm writing about an event or a technology thing, I'll start out with a goal that looks something like this. Explain the split DNS setups and its advantages and weaknesses so that people can make more informed decisions about their technical setups. It doesn't have to be very complicated or intricate. Most of the complexity comes up naturally during the process of writing the intermediate steps. Think about the end goal or what you want people to gain from reading the article. I've also found that it helps to think about the target audience and assumed skills of the reader. I'll usually list out the kind of person that would benefit from this the most and how it will help them. Here's an example. The reader is assumed to have some context about what DNS is and wants to help make their production environment more secure, but isn't totally clear on how it helps and what trade-offs are made. State what the reader is to you and how the post benefits them. Underthink it. It's tempting to overthink this, but really don't. You can overthink the explanations later. The outline. Once I have an end goal and the target audience in mind, then I make an outline of what I want the post to contain. This outline will have top-level items for generic parts of the article or major concepts/steps, and then I will go on and add more detail inside each top-level item. Here's an example of top-level items for that split beat DNS post. Introduction. Define split DNS. How split DNS is different. Where you can use split DNS. Advantages of split DNS. Trade-offs of split DNS. Conclusion. Each step should build on the last and help you reach towards the end goal. After I write the top-level outline, I start drilling down into more detail. As I drill down into more detail about a thing, the bullet points get nested deeper, but when the topics change, then I go down a line. Here's an example. What is DNS? Domain Name Service. Maps names to IP addresses. Sometimes it does other things, but we're not worrying about that today. Distributed system. Intended to have the same data everywhere in the world, it can take time for records to be usable from everywhere. Then I will go in and start filling in the bullet tree with links and references to each major concept or other opinions that people have had about the topic. For example, yada yada yada, you see. These help me write about the topic and give me links to add to the post so that people can understand more if they want to. You should spend most of your time writing the outline. The rest is really just restating the outline in sentences. After each top-level item is fleshed out enough, I usually pick somewhere to start and add some space after a top-level item. Then I just start writing. Each top-level item usually maps to a few paragraphs / a section of the post. I usually like each section to have its own little goal / context to it so that readers start out from not understanding something and end up understanding it better. Here's an example. If you have used a computer in the last few decades or so, you have probably used the Domain Name Service, DNS. DNS maps human-readable names, like google.com, to machine-readable IP addresses, like 182.48.247.12. Because of this, DNS is one of the bedrock protocols of the modern internet, and it usually is the cause of most failures in big companies. DNS is a globally distributed system without any authentication or way to ensure that only authorized parties can query IP addresses for specific domain names. As a consequence of this means that anyone can get the IP address of a given server if they have the DNS name for it. This also means that updating a DNS record can take a non-trivial amount of time to be visible from everywhere in the world. Instead of using public DNS records for internal services, you can set up a split DNS configuration so that you run an internal DNS server that has your internal services obscured away from the public internet. Your internal service IP addresses. And then I just gotta fix the formatting. As a consequence of this means that attackers can't get their hands on the IP addresses of your services, so that they are harder to attack. In this article, I'm going to spell out how this works, the advantages of the setups, the trade-offs made in the process, and how you can implement something like this for yourself. In the process of writing, I'll find gaps in the outline and just fix it by writing more words than the outline suggested. This is okay and somewhat normal. Go with the flow. I expand each major thing into its component paragraphs and will break up things into sections with markdown headers if there's a huge change in topics. Adding section breaks can also help people stay engaged with the post because people tune out of giant walls of text feels wrong. Maybe adding section breaks can also help people stay engaged with the post. Giant walls of text are hard to read and can make people lose focus easily. Another trick I use to avoid my posts being giant walls of text is what I call conversation snippets. These look like this. These are words, and I'm saying them. I use them for both creating Socratic dialogue and to add prose flair to my writing. I'm more of a prose writer by nature, and I find that this mix allows me to keep both technical and artistic writing up to snuff. Amusingly, I get asked if the characters in my blog are separate people all giving their input into things. They are characters, nothing more. If you ever got an impression otherwise, then I have done my job as a writer incredibly well. Just flesh things out and progressively delete parts of the outline as you go. It gets easier. Writing the conclusion. I have to admit, I really suck at writing conclusions. They are annoying for me to write because I usually don't know what to put there. Sometimes I won't even write a conclusion at all and just end the article there. This doesn't always work though. A lot of the time when I am describing how to do things, I will end the article with a call to action. This is a few sentences that encourages the reader to try the thing I've been writing about out for themselves. If I was turning that split DNS article from earlier into a full article, the call to action would look something like this. Or the conclusion would look something like this. The conclusion could look something like this. If you want an easy way to try out a split DNS configuration, install Tailscale on a couple virtual machines and enable Magic DNS. This will set up a split DNS configuration with a domain that won't resolve globally, such as hostname.example.com.beta.tailscale.net, or just hostname for short. I use this in my own infrastructure constantly. It has gotten to the point where I regularly forget that Tailscale is involved at all and become surprised when I can't just access machines by name. A split DNS setup isn't a security feature. If anything, it's a more security feature. It's more of an obscurity feature, but you can use it to help administrate your systems by making your life easier. You can update records on your own schedule, and you don't have to worry about outside attackers getting the IP addresses of your services. I don't like giving the conclusion a heading, so I'll usually add a horizontal rule to break it off. This is how I write about things. Do you have a topic in mind that you've wanted to write about for a while? Try the system out. if you get something that you like and want feedback on how to make it shine, email me at iwroteanarticle@zserve.us with either a link to it or the draft somehow. I'll be sure to read it and reply back with both what I liked and some advice on how to make it even better. End of article. Oh, I got hydrated. Where's my cup? I just ran out of water in my bottle. One sec. I'm back. Yeah, this looks nice. I'm happy with this. Okay. One of the last things I'll do in writing about something is I'll commit it to Git and I'll push it to GitHub. I can't actually deploy it on stream because I have to deploy it from NixOS on my tower for, like, I have a slightly broken setup reasons. I've been meaning to move it over to NixFlakes. I just haven't gotten the time yet. Blog. Writing about writing. You know what? I'll make this post for tomorrow. Yeah, I'll have this post go live tomorrow. That's fine. And, yeah. That's me explaining about how I write about my writing.